They claim some moments never leave you, like a scar your mind can't stop tracing. That day, my brother's engagement, I became the scar no one wanted to see. I remember the frigid sting of the air conditioner, despite the room being filled, wall to wall with guests. Laughter hummed in the background, the clinking of glasses, the shutter clicks of phone cameras. Yet to me, it all felt remote, muffled, like I was underwater. My hands shook as I smoothed down the wrinkle in my dress for the 10th time. Navy blue, long sleeves, nothing flashy, just safe, just invisible. Anna, my daughter, held my hand tight. She was jumping with excitement, tugging at me every few seconds to point out the dessert, or the lights, or the big heart-shaped decoration behind the stage. I grinned, but my stomach was a knot. Keon, my younger brother, stood on stage beside Ela, his fiancée. He looked dazzling, sparkling, keen, in a cream sherwani. The family's pride. And Ela, she was stunning, like always, yet her eyes, chilly. They surveyed the crowd like a queen weighing up her subjects. And when they landed on me, something in her expression altered, tighter, as if I were an insect she'd just seen under her shoe. Then it happened. Ila leaned in and murmured something to my mother. I couldn't hear what was said, but I noticed that my mother's face didn't flinch. She nodded, that identical curtain nod she used to provide when she made a decision about me, without me. Then, my mother twisted. Her heels clicked against the marble as she made her way through the crowd. She didn't grin. She never did. Not for me. She halted just inches away and leaned in. "Zoya," she murmured. Her voice was low, almost kind, which strangely made it worse. "Keep away from the stage, please. Ila doesn't want any bad luck near her today." Bad luck? That word pierced through me like ice. For a moment, I truly thought I misheard. Her. My mind scrambled for a better explanation, a joke, a misunderstanding, yet her eyes were still, her lips squeezed into a flat line. She meant every phrase. I blinked. "She's right," my mother added. "You've always had poor timing. Let's not risk disaster today." My throat went dry. The room seemed to slow, as if time itself paused to watch what I would do. Around us, the laughter continued, the celebration, unbothered, but I felt the heat of eyeballs turning, some pretending not to hear, others pretending not to care. I felt like I was shrinking. Why did it still hurt this much? After all these years, I should have been used to it by now. The silent blame for my father's accident, the way my failed marriage was spoken about at family dinners, even my miscarriages. Each one met with the same tight-lipped quiet like it was contagious. I glanced at Keon. His eyes caught mine for just a second, then immediately darted away. The flash of shame wounded deeper than any insult ever could. I didn't speak. I couldn't. My tongue felt like it was plastered to the roof of my mouth. I merely nodded, stepped back, and gripped Anna's fingers a little tighter. "Why can't we go up there, Mama?" she inquired, her voice full of innocence. I crouched beside her, trying to keep my voice from breaking, because sometimes people don't grasp what's special. She tilted her head, eyes narrowing the way she does when something doesn't make sense. She gazed toward Ila, then at me. And in that little pause, something altered in her face, like she spotted something she'd never seen before. And that's when I should have known. Anna wasn't going to stay silent. And of hope, I stood there frozen. The hem of Anna's clothing disappeared between two rows of chairs as she marched her little body toward the front. My heart fell to my gut for a second. The air felt dense, too heavy to breathe. I burst out of my daze and pushed past the mob, mumbling apologies as I tried not to gain attention because eyes were already twisting, heads tilting, murmurs commencing. Anna reached the front of the stage. She wasn't rushing or hiding. She stood tall, well, as tall as a 7-year-old can, staring up at the people towering around her. Khan, Allah, my mother, all looking down like she didn't belong there. I wanted to run to scoop her up, to disappear before she said something. That would make things worse. But then she did something I never saw approaching. She walked right up to the microphone, my breath caught in my throat. "Anya!" I hissed beneath my breath. Too late. Too far. Ila's hand shot out like she might stop her, but hesitated, confused. My mother's face fell, her mouth parted slightly, and then it happened. Anya seized the mic with both hands, peered up at the multitude of faces looking down at her, and stated in the clearest voice, "Can I say something about the bride?" The room went still, like movie scene still. Every table, every mouthful, every phone mid-photo. Ila blinked, her expression faltering for the first time all night. "Oh, maybe now's not—" But Anna kept walking, eyes locked ahead. "My name is Anna. I'm 7, and I want to tell you about what I heard Auntie Ila say." My legs felt weak. I could scarcely stand. "Please don't, baby, please." She wasn't trembling. She wasn't even nervous. She appeared calm, serious, like she'd rehearsed. This in her nightmares, she said. "My mama brings bad luck," she continued, her voice firm. "But that's not true. My mama is the best person I know." I couldn't move. "She takes care of me all by herself. She prepared me chicken soup when I was unwell and read me stories, while I had dreams. She doesn't yell, she just hugs. She says love should be nice and silent." Someone close to me gasped. I don't know who. Anna gazed straight at Ila now. "And you were mean. You didn't say it nicely. You didn't even look sorry." Ila's expression cracked, eyebrows raised, mouth tense. I glanced at Khan. He wasn't blinking, simply watching Anna like he'd never seen her before. "And you also said something else," Anna added, her voice plunging lower. "You stated you didn't even like my Uncle Ken, that he was just a good match." A strong inhale ripped through the crowd, like a knife. I saw someone lower their phone, eyes wide, Ila's cheeks flushed. She stepped forward swiftly. "That's enough! She's a child!" But no one moved, not even the MC. And suddenly all the terrible sounds I used to fear, the whispering, the judgment, the pity, it fled. The stillness felt odd now, electrified because Anna hadn't simply protected me. She'd challenged them. This young child, with her ribboned braids and little voice, had ripped the thread holding their ideal image together, and the cloth was starting to crumble. I still couldn't believe it. My heart was hammering. My hands were trembling again. But not from fear. This time, from something else. Pride. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I had to apologize for existing. I wasn't sure what would happen next, yet I knew one thing for sure. The stillness was about to break. Awesome. You're on fire for maintaining the story, rolling like it felt like the world had stopped spinning. Anna walked away from the microphone and stood in the center of the sparkling stage, this little defiant figure among a sea of adults, some stunned, others shifting uncomfortably in their chairs. No one spoke. The MC had lowered his mic. The photographer, bless him, had stopped clicking. I imagine even the chandelier lights felt dimmer. I was anchored to the spot, breath held fast in my chest. All I could do was watch. Ila seemed like someone had just slapped her. Her lips split, eyes wide, face drained of color. She stared at Cayenne as if expecting him to laugh it off or take charge. But he didn't. He just stood there, mouth closed, shoulders tight. His eyes flicked from Anna to Ila and then, slowly to me. And in that moment, something passed between us. He saw me, not as the burden, not as the shadow in the family photos, but as his sister, as Anna's mother, as someone who had been hurting silently for years. And maybe, just maybe, he noticed how much it took not to crumble every time they blamed me for stuff I didn't cause. Suddenly, I saw my mother. Her arms were crossed, her face carefully blank, but her eyes gave her away, tightening around the borders, that telltale twitch in her brow. She wasn't in charge anymore. Uncle Rahan stood at the front, and he did, something I didn't expect. He clapped just once, but it resonated, and then he stepped up gently, walked toward the stage, and rested his hand lightly on Anna's shoulder. He bent down and whispered something I couldn't hear, but Anna nodded and smiled slightly, her small hand getting into his. He turned to Illa next. "I think the girls articulated what many of us were too nice to," he said gently but clearly. "Maybe it's time we quit pretending kindness is optional." The words landed like a stone in water. Illa looked embarrassed. Her jaw clenched. "This is ludicrous. She's a child. Children exaggerate." But Uncle Rahan didn't back down. "Children speak truths. Adults are very terrified to confront." Kian breathed long and slow. His voice was soft when he spoke. "Did you really say that about Zoya?" Illa stiffened. "It was a private discussion." "You said it." His voice cracked just slightly. She didn't answer. He shook his head slowly. I can't do this, Illa. Not like this." My mother gasped, going forward. "Kian, don't be impulsive." He stared at her, and his phrase, "God, I'll never forget it. I've been impulsive my whole life," he said, by staying quiet when I should have defended her. My knees gave a little. I clutched the back of a chair to steady myself. He turned to me then. "Zoya, I'm sorry." It was just 2 words, but after an eternity of silence, they thundered in my chest. Illa stepped back, her face hardening. "You're making a mistake." Ken shook his head. "I guess I've been making them for years." He pulled off the engagement ring from his own finger, the one he was meant to present, and carefully laid it on the stage beside Illa. The room was astonished, and then he walked over to me. He didn't say anything, just pulled me into a hug, tight, like he was attempting to make up for every year he hadn't stood between me and the anguish. And the moment he let go, he crouched down and grabbed Anna into his arms, too. "I'm proud of you," he whispered to her. She grinned, her gap-toothed smile lighting up the room. And just like that, the silence shattered. But this time, it wasn't harsh. It felt liberated. The next day, I woke up to a text from Ken. "I hope you know how proud I am of you, of Anna. I'm sorry it took me this long." I read it twice, then once more for good measure. My chest felt tight, not in a painful way this time, but in that strange, calm manner. Healing begins like a wound, understanding it's safe enough to start closing. It wasn't about the apology, honestly. It was about being seen for the first time, in years. I wasn't invisible to my own family. I wasn't just the backdrop to someone else's celebration. Later that week, Cayenne came to visit. Only him. No Illa. No crowd. He brought pastries from my favorite bakery. Something little. Something thoughtful. We sat in the living room, Anna playing with her dolls on the floor while we chatted. "I should have stood up for you a long time ago," he said. I didn't know how deep it went till Anna said it out loud." I offered him a sorrowful smile. "She has more courage at 7 than I had at 27. He shook his head. "She has your courage. She just didn't learn how to hide it yet." That hit something deep. I didn't weep, though. I approached close instead. I gazed at my daughter, so brilliant, so full of light, and I realized something I hadn't dared to believe earlier. Maybe I wasn't cursed. Maybe I was just different. And different terrified folks. A couple of days later, Uncle Rahan stopped by, too. He brought me a potted jasmine plant. White blossoms, simply beginning to open. Anything that grows quiet yet strong, he said, just like you. Even my mother, well, she hasn't spoken anything, but she claimed that alone was a miracle. She didn't apologize, not directly, but she questioned if I was doing all right, if Anna needed anything. It wasn't much, but it was something. And in our family, there was progress. Anna, of course, doesn't completely realize what she'd done. She just wanted to share the truth, to stand up for her mom, to right anything she knew immediately was wrong. "Mama," she said one night while combing her teeth, "are you proud of me?" I knelt beside her, stared into those huge brown eyes and muttered, "More than you'll ever know." She grinned, then added, "So I'm good luck." I chuckled for the first time in weeks, maybe months, genuinely laughed, that kind that bubbles up from your chest and makes your eyes crinkle. "You," I whispered, bringing her into a hug, "are the luckiest thing that's ever happened to me." And it's accurate because here's what I've learned. Sometimes the ones who carry the most pain also carry the deepest love. We travel through life quiet, frightened to take up space, to disturb, to be too much. However, we are not too much. We are simply enough for the folks ready to view us totally. Anya taught me that it's appropriate to speak up, that protecting oneself isn't disrespecting, that love, true love, shows up even if it takes a little longer than you hoped. So no, I'm not unlucky. I am unbreakable. And if being unbreakable made people uncomfortable, if it made them whisper or stare or look the other way, then let them, since from now on I shall not shrink myself to fit in someone else's perspective of acceptable. And due to one brave little kid, I will never again believe that love has to arrive with quiet. It turns out I was never the one delivering ill luck. I was the one breaking the cycle. And that's the luckiest thing of all.